Okay, let's move on to prediction time. Blazers play 4 games between now and next Thursday. They host the Pacers, then the Mavericks. They take a quick trip to Denver for a game against the Nuggets on Monday before returning home to face the Timberwolves, who are 29-17. That game on Wednesday. Yeah, really good. Yeah. So, which games do the Blazers win? Which games do the Blazers lose?
I went first last time, so
okay, I'm excited for this go-around. So the last couple of weeks we've picked the same, and I've been told, I don't know what your guys' picks are, but I've been told all 3 of us are different.
Nice.
So I'll start it off. I say they're going to go 1-3 over the next 4. I think they lose tonight against Indiana. I think they beat the Mavs at home, and I think they lose to the Nuggets and they lose to the Timberwolves. Let's start with tonight. Okay. The reason I think they lose to the Pacers is the Pacers have been much improved this year. They're a much different team than the team the Blazers played the second game of the season. And they're 5-1 their last 6. So they're playing well right now. They're a good offensive team. They're 6th in the league in offensive rating. And as I've told you this year, maybe with this newfound Blazers offense, maybe they can score enough now to keep up with these teams. But they've struggled against teams that can really score the basketball. Yep. And so for all those reasons, Miles Turner is out, yes. But for all the reasons I said before, I think it's going to be close tonight. But I think Indiana is just going to score a little bit more than the Blazers tonight. And frankly, I was about to say I think they're a better team. And so I'm going to say it. I think they're a better team. I was trying to talk myself out. Right now, I think Indiana's a better team.
I think you can make that argument.
Than Portland right now. And so I'll pick the Pacers for tonight. What'd you guys pick for tonight?
I'm going 2-2 on the week.
Oh.
I do like the matchup against the Pacers. I do understand that they're rolling right now, won 5 out of their last 6. But I'm not sold on the Pacers. I don't think they're this power team that's just, and to your point, it's going to be close. Yeah. I think this is a close game that the Blazers can win. Yes, Victor Oladipo's been playing well, and they've been in a very efficient offense, and they score points, so I get that. The more points that their opponents score, the less likely the Blazers are to win. We figured that out, that if they start flirting with 105, 106, and get up in there, the Blazers don't really stand a chance because they just don't score that many points.
This year.
So I get that. But I'm not sold on what the Pacers are bringing. I don't think that I believe in what the Blazers are doing. I'll give them the win tonight. And then I believe we're probably all in agreement with the Mavericks.
Are we, Jared? Did you pick them to beat the Mavericks? Yeah,
let me go on the Pacers real quick.
Okay.
So I don't think the Miles Turner absence is as big a deal as you might think. And that's not to take anything away from Miles Turner.
He's a nice player.
He's a very good player. But the Pacers are 7-4 without him this season, and Domantas Sabonis is a really good
young player
replacement for him. He averages 13 points and 11 rebounds in the 12 starts he's made this season. I like the Pacers a lot, but the Blazers have won 4 in a row at home, and they played really well in those 4 games, and they beat the Spurs at home, they beat the 76ers at home. So I think they're, it could go the other way, but I think their home woes from earlier in the season they're starting to put them behind them, and so I do think that they will beat the Pacers.
So Pacers.
Guys, should be noted, Lance Stevenson questionable with an illness. He's like their main bench guy.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out on that.
The Blazers injury list, everyone is available. I think Shabazz Napier was on it for a back strain, but he's good to go. So
the nice thing about the Pacers is, and it hasn't really mattered that much. Shabazz plays no matter what, but they should be able to run that 3-guard lineup quite a bit against the Pacers, and that's been their most effective lineup.
Well, and I think this is a good measuring stick type game.
Totally.
If you're a Blazers fan, because I think these 2 teams are pretty equal
totally. Yes.
right now, and so it'll be interesting to see how they fare off against each other. I think this will be the best game of the 4. I think this one will be the best one. The Mavericks. They're playing better, but they're still 15-30 for a reason.
Yeah.
So I can't.
And they're really bad on the road too.
So you did pick the Mavericks. All 3 of us are in agreement there.
So
I did not pick the Mavericks.
Oh, you did not? No, we all picked against them.
I picked the Blazers to win. Yeah.
The Nuggets then. I said they lose the game. The Nuggets are not playing well right now. That's the reason they're a half game out of all these teams the Blazers are tied with through the 6 and 8 spots. But they're 16-5 at home, and their offense hasn't been as good lately, but it's still a good offense. And like I said, I have a hard time picking the Blazers to beat good offensive teams. And for that reason, and the fact that it's in Denver, I'm going to pick the Nuggets to win that game against the Blazers.
I'll side with you. That was what I looked at. The Nuggets' home record. 16-5 is a really, really good record to have at home. And the last game, the first 2 games since the trade, Nurkic owned Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
But in the last game, I think Jokic figured something out. He outplayed Nurkic.
He
And
did.
so I don't think that the Blazers have that, whatever psychological advantage it was with Nurkic against Jokic. So I'm picking the Nuggets to win that game too.
I went the scientific route with this game. I've gone back and forth because I think the Pacers game is close, but this was the game that I struggled with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I could see both sides of this. You know, the Jokic factor. He killed the Blazers the last go around, but the Blazers have had success against the Nuggets too. And so what I decided to do was I pulled out a quarter and flipped it heads or tails, and it says that the Blazers will lose this game.
Quarter
So-
don't
All right.
lie.
the quarter picks of the Nuggets.
So the quarter went with the Nuggets, and but I do think it's close.
So even Currency isn't a fan of the Blazers.
No,
right now.
no,
That's not a good
especially
thing.
quarters.
All right. So
Last one.
last one, Minnesota. I don't know. Did anyone pick them to beat Minnesota? I didn't.
I did.
You did. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to hear why. Because
right.
everyone's going to know why we didn't.
Obviously, Minnesota is a much better team than Portland right now. I'm not crazy. But they're not a great road team. They're a mediocre road team. They've lost 3 of their last 4 on the road, including losses to the Magic and the Nets on the road. So I think that because the Blazers are playing well at home, and because I know the last game against the T-Wolves was not competitive at all, but the first game was. And the T-Wolves needed to come back to beat the Blazers. So I think that both teams will be rested. The T-Wolves have not been as dominant on the road as they are at home. I think the Blazers win that game. I think it'll be close, just like that first game. But I think the Blazers pull it out this time. I think it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. Especially when they're not evenly matched. The T-Wolves are much better, but it's not a huge mismatch. So
Me and Max have talked about this mainly over the last week, since the Timberwolves have kind of been more in our frame of perspective. Because he mentioned, Minnesota just lost to Orlando. How did that happen? I think Minnesota is a lot like the Cavaliers, where they have an on-off switch, and I think they can really turn it on. And when they turn it off, they are just not there. Because you mentioned the other bad loss they had was to the Nets, correct? Eastern Conference teams against the West this year, to 23-6.
Yeah, that's
the
amazing.
Timberwolves. That's the best record against Western Conference opponents by another Western Conference team. Better than the Warriors, better than the Rockets. And so I think they show up for these Western Conference games, and that's one of the reasons I picked them to beat the Blazers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Timberwolves. I had no hesitation in that. I think that they're just a better team. I do understand what you're saying with, it's tough to beat a team 3 times, but when you're just a better team, I think that 3 times will be pretty easy for them. I have no faith in the Blazers in winning that game against the Timberwolves.
This will be an interesting week, because unlike the past weeks where you could probably look at it and say they'll probably win those games.
No,
and
this
lose
is
those
tough.
games.
This
one,
was a tough
there
week.
should be more competitive games, and to see how the Blazers will fare will be really interesting.
I knew I was stretching to pick the Blazers to beat the T-Wolves.
I love it.
But
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm 2 games behind you, and I'm 1 game behind you, and I wanted to, make a risky pick. So
Max,
Something really interesting that I found with that Jim Peterson, who's the TV analyst for the Timberwolves, he told ESPN's Zach Lowe that 4th quarter of the first game against the Blazers was the turning point of their season, where Jamal Crawford scored 11, and I think Butler had 16.
well, if you look,
And the Blazers barely lost that game. Some late turnovers, and Butler got fouled at the end.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
I believe the Timberwolves have played 15 games since that
then.
one, and their defensive rating, I have it right here during those games, is 4th in the NBA, and their offensive rating is 1st, better than the Warriors.
That's been all the difference.
So
of
in
the
terms
team.
of
My
a turning
gosh.
point in the season, he could very well be right.
Their offense has
Well,
been
thanks,
great.
Blazers.
And they're 11. They're 11-4 in those 15. The Timberwolves.
And just think about the way that you, Nate, consider them was a little bit underachieving up until that point. I think that
That's
could be
starting
true that they
5.
took off from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, that's starting 5.
Did anyone say what it would take